Today we're going to be looking at the second half of the standard RL.7.2 and 8.2 and 6.2. I'm sorry, I left that out. 6, 7, and 8.2. What we're going to be doing is providing an accurate summary of the text. Okay, so let's get into our right there. Okay, so when we talk about a summary, it gives the example here of a show that you and your friend both watch. And if she missed that show, she might ask you, hey, what was the show about? Well, you're not going to tell her every little detail that happened in that show. You're just going to kind of give her the gist of what happened. Or going to the movies, the same thing, or reading a book. You're not going to read the whole book to them. You're not going to tell them everything that happened to a movie. Even if you think of something like a football game, you might summarize that. So you briefly retell what happened. When you're summarizing in literature, you briefly retell the main character's setting, conflict, important events, and theme. You want to make sure that your summary is accurate, is correct, and you also need to make sure that your summary is objective. You don't put your own opinion in that summary. You stick just to the who, what, when, where, and why of the story. So let's look. Here it gives us a little cartoon. The year is 1906. Artemis sets his time machine for the year 2056. Only to discover that the future isn't what he had hoped it would be. So he's in a time machine, and he sets it, and he goes into the future. Now, if you use a graphic organizer, which I think can be, I don't get it right, y'all, I'm sorry, which I think can be helpful, who is it? The character is the time traveler. And the when and the where is going to be the setting. And it's a town in two different time periods. You can see he went from 1906 to 2056, and he wasn't pleased with what he saw. Now, the important events that happened. The time traveler from the past hops onto his time machine, and he travels to the future where he finds the town is destroyed and he's not happy about it. So a summary of this cartoon, you're going to include all of these things that are in your graphic organizer, leaving out your opinion. A time traveler journeys to the future with a time machine and finds that his town has been destroyed. A theme may be emerging that the future may not be better than the present. And you have all of these clues and these details. Here it tells you exactly where he is and what year he's going to. And especially looking at this picture, things are burnt up. There's fire. Even the look on his face tells us that he is surprised and not happy with what he sees. It's not just a way for you to describe a story to others. It can also be a tool to help you understand what you're reading. So you can use summaries to really understand, to pull out those big ideas and pull out that theme and the details that support that theme, so that you're able to better comprehend what you're reading. You should stop occasionally and summarize what's happened. I know we always take the first paragraph and kind of summarize it up, and if we don't really understand the first paragraph, then there's no need to go on to the rest of the story, because you've got to figure out what's happening. Be sure when you're writing your summary that you only include the most important details. Summarizing will help you to understand the meaning of the text better. So let's look at a longer text. Touchdown on Spectra Omicron 8 by William Nichols. The genre here is science fiction, if you haven't figured it out yet. This just in, the UFP Ulysses vessel has touched down on the planet Spectra 8. This signifies the first stage in its terraforming expedition. The complex multi-stage terraforming process will make Spectra's atmosphere more like that of Earth and livable for humans. So if we were just to stop right here, what is this vessel doing? Well, it's gone to a planet, and it's going, and whoever the people in it are going to kind of fix it up, the terraforming process. So they want to make it more like Earth. So you've got the vessel. The vessel is Spectra 8. So you might even underline those. You've got the UFP Ulysses vessel that is Spectra 8. Captain Jane Young and her crew of 21 blasted off in May of 2218 for this 6-year journey through deep space to reach the lifeless planet. They encountered a number of problems along the way. First, they were stuck in the gravitational pull of an antimatter black hole. They also had to deal with a salmonella outbreak in the ship's food storage. So this journey has been 6 years, and they've had some obstacles to overcome. Gravity got them, and they had to deal with salmonella, being very sick. In October of this year, the Ulysses established orbit. Lieutenant Bobby Sullivan piloted the vessel toward the planet's surface. He set the angle of entry so the ship would not burn up when passing through the atmosphere. After securing visual confirmation of the landing site, Sullivan deployed the landing gear, applied the thrusters, and brought the ship in for a soft 3-point landing. So here in that third paragraph, basically your main idea is that they did land, okay? So let's look. How can you best summarize this part of the story? And we kind of did that. We stopped and we said what happened in each paragraph. Remember, when you're writing a summary, you cannot include your opinions. It must be an objective summary. Now, let's look at how they did it here. Summaries should be accurate and objective, or correct and free of opinions and judgments. Read the following summary of the story. Cross out any opinions and personal feelings in the summary. In the year 2018, the Ulysses sets off on a really dangerous mission to begin the transforming of planet Spectra 8. They have to deal with some scary problems along the way, but they finally reach the planet. The most interesting part is how pilot Bobby Sullivan brings the ship in for a safe landing. Now, in this summary, I see some opinion words, which would make it not objective. So let's go ahead and cross out those opinion words. When you see words like really, that you should pick up that that's probably going to be an opinion. Really dangerous. That's the opinion. Scary. Scary is an opinion. The most interesting part, that's a judgment. Okay? So those need to be crossed out. If we were looking at how to kind of redo, it says to find a partner and work together. If we're looking at kind of how to redo that, you might want to just, you could condense it some. We could use our characters in the story, our who, which would be Captain Jane Young. Captain Jane Young and the Ulysses crew traveled 6 years through space to land on Spectra Omicron 8, where they plan to begin terraforming. You see there, it tells the characters where they're going, why. It gives those who, what, when, where, why. So let's look at the second part of the story. And I want you to pay attention. I think this is good right here. After we read it, or even as we're going through it, you can underline the names of important characters as well as clues about the setting, and then circle important events, because that's going to give you a clue when we go to pick out a summary. Now that Ulysses has landed, it's time for Young and her crew to begin exploring the planet's surface. Spectra Omicron 8 is little more than loose rocks of red clay. One of Captain Young's top priorities is establishing the Ulysses Base Camp with its many domed sections. With so much carbon monoxide in the atmosphere, oxygen corridors must be built to connect the domes, which will be used for farming, geological research, and communications. A molten carbon drill will then be constructed in the camp's center to burrow through to the plant's core, carrying the terraforming unit that will aid in the surface reconstruction. So here in this part, we see that they have landed, and now they're going to begin work. But let's go back and let's do this. Let's circle and underline some important things that will help us recognize the summary. So, one important event is that the Ulysses has landed. That's definitely important. It landed. Now, people that are important, characters, Young and her team are important. And what do they begin to do? They begin exploring the planet's surface. Spectra Omicron, the planet, it tells us is just rocks of red clay, basically. And then you've got Captain Young, again, her top priority is establishing the base camp, okay? And that can be an event. She wants to establish the base camp to really get some work done. So, you can see here, and you've also got, this is an important, an important kind of detail. The terraforming unit, that's what's going to help them to get the planet right. So their goal is to make it more livable like Earth. So let's look here at, I wish I could keep those, but well, maybe I can. Okay, I'm going to look at this, and it wants us to provide the best summary for this portion of the text. Now remember, they want the best. Some information may be true, but they want the best summary. So the first one says, Captain Young explores the planet's surface and begins building the base camp. Well, we know that Young is important. We know that she begins exploring. That's a pretty good answer. Captain Young explores the planet's surface. What else does she do? She's got the terraforming unit that's going to aid in it. She sees that it's loose rocks, so she has been exploring. So that's a pretty good answer, but let's look at the next. Captain Young shows that she is a strong leader by quickly establishing the base camp. Captain Young probably is a strong leader, but nowhere in there does it tell us that she's a strong leader. Now, we know that she's establishing the base camp, but it doesn't really even say quickly. This is a small detail from the text, so this is not going to be our answer. The domes in the base camp will be used for farming, geological research, and communications. Well, it does say that in here, but that's not the summary. That's not the main idea of this passage. So that's not going to be our answer either. The drill at the center of the camp is made from molten carbon. Yes, it says that, but again, that's just a small idea. That's just a supporting detail. So if you look back at A, let's look back at A. Captain Young explores the planet's surface and begins building the base camp. That pretty much summarizes what has gone on in this particular text. So choice A is our answer.